Hey, it's Willie Crawford here, and I'm getting ready to start a Facebook Live on this Friday, what is it, September 6th, 2019. I actually know the date for a change. I'm going to allow a few seconds, minutes, allow a minute or so for people to start joining us, although I'll start on time, and those who join late can catch the recording. Today, I'll try not to go longer than, no, 20 minutes. I have trouble sticking to the planned time, though. What happens? Have my water handy. 'Cause I notice my voice is cracking sometimes. Since I'm a little tired at times when I'm doing these Facebook Lives, but we'll get started momentarily. I'm just waiting for people to join us or giving people time to join us. I just posted on my timeline that we're live. And today's topic is what it really takes to orchestrate and pull off a mega successful product launch. I've been in business now since 1996 on the internet, and in that time, I've seen quite a few product launches, some which were tremendously successful, and others which totally flopped. And so I'm going to give you an honest look at what you need to do to have a successful product launch. Everything I'll say is my opinion, but it's based on things I've seen, experiences I've had. And so I'm going to see, I don't see anybody joining us yet. I wanted to go ahead and get started on time and let people who join late catch up. uh, I am going to throw one URL out there today. So I'll go ahead and paste that in now, because that URL is central to uh, my message, actually. Well, it's not central to my message. It's one of the things that you need to look at as you listen to my message. So check out this one right here. And I see all of a sudden now that I have a bunch of people popped up. I don't know where they all came from, but Paul Acorns popped up, Peter Jones, Ryan Shaw. I think I saw Bill Platt. Yeah, there's Bill Platt and Marky Schroyer. So what I wanted to address today is what it takes to pull off a successful product launch. I'm going to refer to my notes. If it looks like I'm looking down, it's because I'm reading my notes half the time. Because at my age, or to rely on memory totally. Actually, I'm not that old. But let me, first of all, start out by giving you my background. I've been in business online since 1996, and most of what I've done has been in what is often referred to as the internet marketing space, although I also do stuff in other niches like law of attraction, pets, health and wellness, some of those niches too, some sports niches. And when I first started my business, I was what many would describe as a lone wolf. And those of you who know that wolves hunt in packs, there's a saying that lone wolves often starve. My erroneous thinking back then was, if my customers buy from you, then they won't have any money left to buy from me. And so I had a scarcity mindset. It was sort of me against the world, and I operated in a vacuum. And then in December of 2002, a lawyer by the name of Dr. Bob Silber reached out to me. He was planning a seminar, and he actually reached out to me in November and asked if I would speak at his mid-December seminar down in the Florida Keys. And I was active duty military at the time, so I had to think about that because it meant one of two things. It meant either I needed to take leave or I needed to take a big chance and leave the local area and drive or fly down to the Keys, give my presentation, and make it back to work on Monday morning after giving a weekend presentation. And in the military, we have what we call line of duty determination, where if you get in an accident or something and they determine that you were not where you were supposed to be, then all kinds of things could happen, such as you could lose your retirement, or they bill you for any medical treatment or whatever. And so, and yet we had this rule that said as long as you could make it into work, if there was a recall within so many hours, you were okay. And in my office, we were pretty lax on that. So I elected to drive 13 hours from Eglin Air Force Base down to Hawks Cay in the Florida Keys to speak at this seminar. That was the first seminar I'd ever attended, and I spoke at it. And what I discovered was that I didn't need to be a lone wolf, that in fact, all of the speakers there who were very experienced, except for me and Marty Foley, I think that was his first time speaking too. The others, they all understood that, cooperation and working together was where it was at. In fact, they sat around and they were all sort of whispering, I'm trying this and I'm doing that. What are you working on now? And as we sat around at the meals and things, or sitting in each other's rooms, we explored how we could work together. And so I lost that lone wolf mentality that December. And I learned something that's key to your success. If you are an online marketer and you're trying to put together a product launch, and that is that your success or failure is going to depend to a very large extent on getting other people to help you to promote your product. And a big part of getting them to help you promote your product is them considering you as a friend and you actually being a friend. I've watched probably 50 product launches over the years, both behind the scenes where I was directly involved in them and sort of from a distance, but I knew the stories behind what was happening. And some of those launches were very successful and others were dismal failures, although the person doing the launch didn't always let the world know that they flopped or that they were less successful than they'd hoped to be. Okay, some of the launches that you're probably familiar with that I helped out with was Mike Filsame's first big launch was called Butterfly Marketing, and when Mike first approached some of the bigger names in internet marketing, they at first said, "We don't really know you. You're an unknown factor. We're not going to play with you." And so Mike first started rolling out with some of the smaller players, and then the big players noticed what was going on and they came on board. But before Mike launched, he contacted me via ICQ. That's I and letters I, letter C, and Q. It was a predecessor to Skype. And Mike asked me, he said, "Can you take a quick look at my sales letter I'm launching tomorrow?" And I read it and pointed out a few spelling errors in it. But, before he launched that night, I actually looked at his material and I used his butterfly marketing system. So I helped Mike with that. John Reese rolled out Traffic Secrets in, I think it was 2005. John had attended my first seminar, which was in April of 2003. And he was at Bob Silver's seminar in the Keys, and we became friends. And then he attended my seminar the following April. And so over the years, we became friends. And when he rolled out Traffic Secrets around 2005, he reached out to all of his friends and said, "Hey, I'm launching this product." It said, I think it was $1,000 a copy. Can I get you to promote it? And he sent us copies. And he said, if you can't promote right now, I understand, but whenever you can fit in a promotion. And John was the first person in the internet marketing space to do $1 million in a day. And he actually did that in 18 hours. But his real secret was he formed relationships before he did that product launch. He'd been going around for years at seminars and conferences making friends with people. And so when he launched, he reached out to his friends, and most of his friends who knew him, who knew he knew what he was talking about, and he sent us a review copy of his product, so we knew the quality of the product. So it was natural for us to say yes to him. Another person that you see a lot of now on social media in particular is Ken MacArthur. When Ken MacArthur rolled out JV Alert, he reached out to me and said, "Willie, I'm rolling out this thing called JV Alert, and I want to know if I can count on you to help me with the launch." And I said, "Yeah." My second seminar, which was in April of 2004, Kim had just done a product called Affiliate Showcase, and I reached out to him and invited him to come speak at my seminar, and he did. And that was his first time speaking at an internet marketing seminar, and he did a great job and got hooked on platform speaking at internet marketing events. He went on to host a number of live JV Alert seminars, and now he's rolling out a movie. But I helped Ken to get started. You know, I can't take credit for his brilliance and his marketing savvy, his business acumen, but I did help him. So I saw him launch another brand now. Is David Perdue's NAMS, which started out being the niche affiliate marketing system, and I helped him to launch. And I spoke at, I think he did like a dozen or 10 or 12 seminars. I spoke at about a third of them, taught at about a third of them. David's accountability partner for a long time. And so I saw behind the scenes what he was doing. And, you know, we talked all the time. We still do. In 2002, I believe it was, I went to a seminar hosted by Joel Christopher. And it was called the Master List Builder Workshop. And there I met, among other people, Jeff Walker, who at the time hadn't even thought of, I don't believe, product launch formula. In fact, Jeff scraped together, money to attend this seminar in San Antonio, and his wife sort of gave him a hard time. But I mean, he relates that story later. But Jeff went on to roll out product launch formula, which is the standard, the gold standard among internet marketers now on how you do a product launch. And Jeff's done numerous consecutive multi-million-dollar launches of his product launch formula, but he's also helped other people to do very successful product launches, so he knows what he's doing. Jeff and I are friends, and I think it was his first launch. He ran maybe it was the second one. He ran a contest, and I was in the top 15 affiliates for his launch. So he had this exclusive networking meeting in Las Vegas at a fancy penthouse where I got to hang out with him. I have pictures on my Facebook profile of some of us hanging out together. Those were his top 15 affiliates. And, I was one of the big dogs way back then. So I understand what it takes to do a successful product launch. I understand, the things that can go wrong. And I think most of you tuning in today also understand what it takes to pull off a successful product launch. It's natural for many of you to say, well, I need to roll out my own product because I can get other people to help me to roll out the product. And if they're all selling the product, it's extra sales I wouldn't make if I was doing everything on my own. And yet, it's extra sales, and all I have to do is pay a commission when I make those extra sales. So how do I get people to help me out with that? Okay, and I tuning back into my my wall to see who's there, and I see my cousin Tony McKay is there, and Philippe is there, and my classmate and friend Paul Giron's there. He's vacationing Virginia Beach right now. See, Craig Pierce is here, and Joel Orlando, who is from the same city that I currently live in. So I welcome all you guys. And again, we're talking about doing product launches because a lot of you are thinking, I need to roll out my own product. How do I do it, without it flopping? And it's more difficult than most people imagine. You don't see the pain that happens, but I do. And the truth is, the hard part is, it's not difficult to find potential JV partners or affiliates. The hard part is getting people who will actually follow through and promote your product. You couldn't go out and recruit 1,000 affiliates, and the top 5% are going to produce 95% of your sales. And the vast majority of people who will tell you yes because they like being liked and don't like saying no, they feel uncomfortable saying no to you, they'll say, I'll see what I can do, which is not a commitment, and you'll take it as a commitment, and they won't follow through. Most people who sign up for product launches don't promote, and so it's difficult. You need two things to have a successful, massively successful product launch. One is, and this is a given, you need a top quality product. And the reason you need a top quality product is because you're asking your potential joint venture partners to put their reputation on the line. You're saying, can you help me promote my product? Well, when they promote your product, they're going out to their list, their contacts, and saying, here's a product that I really recommend to you. And they better say, I've looked at it, I've gone through it, I've tested it, it works. And so they're putting their reputation on the line. And if they sell a bad product, they're burning their subscribers, their customers, and they're never going to buy anything from them again. So they're putting their reputation on the line. So it's a given that you need to promote only sterling products, okay? The second thing, though, is after you have that top quality product, and the part that I consider the most important factor in pulling off a massively successful product launch is something I mentioned earlier, and that is building real relationships. I think that's the number one most important factor. And I mentioned before, I used to be a lone wolf, and then I started going to seminars and conferences, live events where I met people face to face, and they showed me pictures of their kids and their pets, and we actually got to know each other. I back around 2006, I launched a site that I called the Internet Marketing Inner Circle, and I basically my tagline or whatever was, I'm going to teach you what it takes to break into the inner circle. And I pointed out, most of these big dogs won't play with you unless you're an insider, or actually what I did was I went out and I interviewed 60 or so different leading marketers of the day. And I said, what would it take for you to work with a relative unknown promoting their product? And without exception, actually, every one of them said, well, first of all, be my friend, be my real friend. Don't just wait until the last minute when you're trying to do a product launch and then come to me and say, hey, Willie, can you promote my product? I'm launching next week. I'll start making friendships now and, get to know me and my kids and my pets and hang out with me. When I see my friend Gene Pimentel, for example, he's joined us. I first met him probably around 2008 or so, but I remember speaking at a seminar with him in 2009, and I got to sit with him and his wife, Rowie, and got to know them. We had a meal together. We got to know, like, and trust each other. And the thing is, the reason I emphasize over and over again that face-to-face interaction, and I've done it at seminars and conferences, I've done it at local networking meetings, I've done it where I've invited people to come down to Destin, Florida, or Oculus Island, and hang out with me on the beach, a beachside gathering. The purpose behind all those was to actually get to know people. When you sit and you look at somebody and you're talking to them, we're all electromagnetic creatures. So as you're talking to somebody, if something about them makes you not trust them, makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up, and you think, I don't really trust this person, I say, trust your instincts, trust your intuition. If something about that person makes you not trust them, don't go into business dealings with them. Ask yourself, why don't I trust this person? Maybe because people come from different cultures. For example, in certain cultures, they don't make eye contact a lot, things like that. So you have to understand, some of the person's background, but it's critical that you learn to trust your instincts. The only time I've gone wrong in promoting products, actually, where I'd look at a product and I'd say, I like the product, but it doesn't feel quite right. And then I'd look at it 2 or 3 times, and a couple of times I have admittedly promoted products that I liked, but I wasn't crazy about. They worked. They would work if the person used them as they were instructed to use them. But I still felt a little uneasy about promoting those products. And I'm talking about over the 22 years that I've been an affiliate marketer and promoted a lot of my own goods and services. And the only time I've run into problems was when I promoted those products that something made me feel uneasy about. the situation, getting involved with the product or service. So again, I'm going to emphasize trust your intuition, trust your instincts. I'm going to try to. I'm glancing at my notes because I want to keep this uh, fairly short, and I think I've already gone about 20 minutes. Okay, so you need to start building relationships now, actually getting out, meeting people, and yeah, it's okay to have an ulterior motive of actually looking for potential joint venture partners. You know, you go to a seminar or a conference, after hours, you sit around at the bar, or you have meals together, or you sit around in the lobby just talking to people. And you get to know people, and you can exchange business cards, which is sort of going out of vogue now somewhat. I mean, people collect business cards, they take them back home, they toss them into the back of a drawer. I think it's better to take pictures, and that's what I do. I take pictures, and I use a system, a company called Send Out Cards, where you can upload your own photos to the front and the inside of a card, and right over the internet, and then you can send that card to anybody anywhere in the world. So what I do is at a seminar or a conference, I'll take a picture of somebody, I'll get their address, I'll take a picture with them, I'll go back to my hotel room at night, compose a card saying, hey, it was nice to meet you, and let's follow up on what we talked about. You know, because often we're talking about, hey, what are you working on? Okay, I'm working on this, you're working on that. Let's see if there's some synergy there. You know, you've told me that 3 months from now you're going to launch a product. I'll take a look at it and see if I can fit it in. It has to be a match for my list and my audience. You know, I'm not going to promote something that's way out in left field. It has to be something I feel comfortable promoting, which means it needs to work. I need access to the product early so I can actually have time to go through it. You know, it's like, don't come to me a week before and say, hey, Willie, I'm releasing a complicated piece of software. Here's access to it. And I hope you can promote it, you know, or can you promote it? Well, first of all, I need to install the software on my server or wherever, or maybe it runs on my computer. I need to install it there, and I need to test it, play with it. And also in the affiliate marketing space, in the affiliate marketing game, we have sales contests, and the person who does the best at sales contests are the ones who offer bonuses. Because if you do a product launch and say you have like just 50 affiliates who are actively promoting, uh, a lot of their subscribers are on multiple lists, and they know that multiple people, that people whose list they're on, a lot of them will be promoting the same product. So they bonus shop. They say, it doesn't really matter who I buy the product from. It does sometimes, because once you achieve a quasi celebrity status, for some reason, people like buying from big names. So once you build a reputation for yourself, a big name, and you build that know, like, trust factor, you do have a slight advantage over somebody who's unknown, typically. But all things being equal, your potential customers are going to buy from the person who offers the best bonus package. They'll bonus shop because the basic product's the same no matter who they buy it from. So I, as an affiliate, want time to put together a really, really nice bonus package. And the promotions I've done extremely well with were ones I put together really nice, unique bonus packages. So you know, you need to give people sufficiently time to plan those things out. So I say, if you're even remotely thinking about a product launch, you need to start building relationships now. And that means actually getting out, meeting potential joint venture partners, getting to know people face to face, and more importantly, uh, letting them get to know you. You know, that's one thing for them to look at a picture and say, "Oh yeah, I remember meeting that person," but they don't remember anything about you. But you let down your guard a little, and you let them see what you're really like, because people like helping their friends. Okay? They like helping their friends. All things being equal, they like helping their friends. Uh, Something that's rarely openly discussed is in the internet marketing space in particular, but I think in a lot of other niches, people like helping people who reciprocate. If I promote your product, uh, and I come to you with a product, my own product, and my product is a match for your audience, uh, I sort of expect you to try to fit it in. I mean, there's no, obligation, but if I fit your product into my promotional schedule over selecting somebody else's product, then I expect you to try to fit my product in, assuming it's a match for your audience again. I expect you to try to fit it in. And so that's unspoken, but it's understood in the space that I operate in. And a lot of places, actually, people will blatantly say, I remember a while back, there's a group of marketers that call themselves the syndicate. And they're like, if you're not one of us, you're an outsider, you're locked out. I mean, they basically said that out in the open, So um, you need to consider that. People operate in these little cliques. And if you're not an insider, you may be locked out. So you need to go out, meet people, make friends. And when you do that, one marketer, one potential affiliate may notice that you're promoting somebody's product, and they may promote because they notice that one of their friends is promoting. Okay. And so you need to, get in the right circle, I guess is what I'm saying there. Now, all things being equal, having a bigger, bigger name joint venture partner can quite literally launch you and your product into the stratosphere overnight. If you can get somebody with a huge list or a lot of influence to promote your product and just really push it, you can go from being an unknown to, you know, one of the big dogs overnight. Now, the odds of that happening are not that great. Okay. I see my cousin Sandra has joined me. Hi, Sandra. The odds of somebody who's well known, who's famous, who's a big dog promoting you as an unknown aren't that great. And I've heard people before break down marketers as A level, B level, and C level. And where A level, are at the top of their game, they're the big dogs. B level typically would be where the person looking for partners maybe would place themselves. And then C level would be people who haven't quite achieved what they are. So they haven't made it to that level yet. And you need to think about, where are the people I'm approaching at, are they way above my level? Because they are, it may be hard to get them to promote you and your product unless you have to work a little harder at it. B level, these are people at your level, and they're more likely to promote your product than the A level. A levels, especially if they think you are going to reciprocate. And again, that's a tricky thing because you have to be careful what products you promote and what services you promote. And you also have to be careful not to overcommit, which is something I see a lot of marketers doing. They'll say yes to everyone because they like being liked. And many people have a hard time saying no. They're uncomfortable with it. So, you know, uh, I think you need to develop a thick skin and learn to say no more than you say yes a lot of times in the space to operate in, because otherwise you overpromise. And um, if you do manage to fit in all these promotions that you say yes to, you don't really focus. It's like your list members notice, hey, he's promoting a different product every time he sends an email out. What's up with that? And then they'll think, well, obviously, since he's promoting so many products, he can't really be that excited or enthusiastic about any one product. He just wants to get my money, and you don't want to come across that way. So you, as a promoter, need to pick one product to promote, and you need to focus on that at times for weeks on end. Just don't promote anything else other than that product. And then your list members will see that you're serious, that you really are behind this product. At the same time, if you focus all your energies on one product, whether it's your own or an affiliate product, you can do a better job at promoting it. People see more commitment. You do a better job of putting together emails and other promotions, and you do a better job at putting together a package. And you have more time to devote to testing the product and finding it, its pros and cons. And it doesn't hurt to point out to your potential customers shortcomings in a product. In fact, That's one way to come up with a bonus packages in your emails or your promotions. You say, I really love this product, except this one little weakness it has. And to make up for that, I'm going to give you a bonus of, something I put together that makes up for that weakness. And that's very powerful. So, that's a good technique to use, actually coming up with a bonus. Uh, I'm going to wrap up in a few minutes. Let me see. I've already mentioned that it's not that realistic for most people launching products to expect the big dogs to play with them unless they are a known factor. And I'm going to wrap up actually by issuing a challenge to you. I posted a URL before we even went live, or before most people started showing up. And that URL was to an event that I'm uh, at the end of the month. Now, this event is not strictly an internet marketing event. It has authors and coaches and speakers, what they call new media people. It has newspaper, magazine, TV people. It has people like Michael Gerber, author of The E-Myth. Dan Kennedy is supposed to be there, but Dan had a number of medical problems, and he went into hospice. And at one time, his doctors didn't expect, they weren't even sure he was going to live throughout the day, but that was like maybe 10 days ago. And the last I heard, Dan was sitting up in bed and joking, and people were sending a lot of messages into him via online forums and things like that. And his family members were reading all these messages to Dan, and his spirits were improving. And so I'm hoping he will be there at this event I'm at, which is September 26th through 28th. On the 28th, they will honor 4 people with Lifetime Achievement Awards. Those people are myself, because I've been in business online for 23 years, Michael Gerber, author of The E-Myth, Martha Stewart, who has her own empire, if you will. She's best known for her cooking shows and products, but she's a multi-millionaire business owner who does all kinds of things. And there's one other honoree whose name is escaping me right now. Myself, Martha, Michael Gerber, and Dan Kennedy. Okay, that's 4. There's 4 honorees. We'll all get Lifetime Achievement Awards, but there are going to be hundreds of other influencers in the audience. And a lot of these people will be posing with others on the red carpet. There's different levels of admission. There's like a general admission where you don't get quite as much exposure, if you will, to the VIPs or DVs. And then there's other levels where you get to have breakfast or lunch with them. And those breakfasts and lunches are very structured, where you can ask questions of certain people. And one of them, there's hot seats where you can, ask about a product launch or whatever you need help with, and your questions will be entertained. There are, I think, 2 cruises planned. This is in New York City, and so one cruise is just going to go around the harbor, and it's a nighttime cruise, so it'll be pretty. I'll be on it. But I want to encourage you to try to make it to that event, which is called Living Legends 2019. If you can at all make it. Now, I will even go as far as to tell you that that is the same weekend that my friend Omar Martin is having an internet marketing event in Orlando. So I know a lot of internet marketers will be at Omar's event, which is fine. That is going to be almost all internet marketers, whereas this one will be people with a lot greater reach. I mean, when you're talking about, if I could get Martha Stewart to mention me on a show or in a write-up or whatever, and we have people like Ariana Huffington, who started the Huffington Post but sold it. She's a nominee for an award. There's a bunch of them. If you go to the URL that I gave you, you can see all the people who there are 6 categories where people have been nominated for awards, and you have a chance of meeting any and all of these people at this event. And it's normal, it's natural for you to, when you meet somebody, first thing you should do is ask them about themselves, because people like talking about themselves. So give them a chance to, if you ask somebody to share with you what they're doing, they walk away feeling that you were interesting. And the reason they feel that way is because you were interested in them. So when you meet somebody, don't spend so much time talking about yourself. Talk about them, find out what they're about, and then later on, as you communicate with them, like I use the send out card system, if I find somebody's into collecting, I don't know, Barbie dolls, then, I may send them a clipping or a Barbie doll or whatever as a little gift. I want to resonate with them. If I find that they have a passion for helping animals, dogs in shelters or children, orphans, and things like that, then when you reach out to them, you connect to them on a personal level, you connect to them about something they care about, and you become, at that point, a friend, somebody they know that cares about, that they know that you care about them, and because of that, they care about you. And when you approach them and ask them for help with your product launch or anything, they're more likely to say yes, because people like helping their friends. All things being equal, if a stranger approaches me and has a product that's as good as my friend's product, and a friend approaches me, I'm going to go with my friend's product. That's just human nature. So it's your job to go out and become a friend. Now, I have run 36 minutes, and I need to wrap this up. I see that Roger Dew has joined us and Joe Ammons has joined us. I thank both of you guys for joining us. I am going to ask you to share this Facebook Live with your audience. You can just hit the share button after it's finished rendering, which will take just a few minutes. Then you can share it with your audience. I really would appreciate that. My friend Ron Capps used to say that retweets were the currency on Twitter, which means when you shared somebody's tweet on Twitter, you were making deposits in the law of reciprocity bank, or you were building good karma or whatever. It's the same on Facebook and places like that. When you like somebody's post, that it's good karma. And when you share somebody's post, especially, you should only share what's share worthy, first of all, but when you share somebody's post, you are invoking the law of reciprocity. You shouldn't do it in a manipulative fashion. You should only share things that you really think are share worthy. But I do ask you to share my post. Okay. Now I named this one part 1. And the reason I did that was because tomorrow at 11 o'clock Eastern, I plan on doing part 2. And tomorrow I'm going to cover, I'm looking at my notes again. I'm going to cover why many potential joint venture partners, when you approach them, they either say no or they don't respond. And to me, a person not responding is the same as them saying no. Now, you don't know for a fact that they received your message. If you emailed them, if you send them a direct message on Facebook, there's an increased chance they probably saw it. And if they don't respond, it's either because they feel uncomfortable saying no. Most people don't like saying no, and so they just stay silent, or they didn't see it. So either way, we'll talk about why people say no or don't respond tomorrow. And then I'm going to go over some of the reasons that I've seen launches fail, mistakes that I've seen people make. And it's, it's a variety of things, from timing and, at the wrong time, whether it's holiday seasons or somebody bigger is launching, or people are on vacation with their families or whatever, something else is going on. It's Super Bowl night or election night or something like that. There's 1,000 reasons that product launches fail, including people not adequately preparing and planning for their product launch, and definitely people not allowing enough lead time for them to make those critical connections. So tomorrow, I won't go as long as I did today, but we will look at why product launches fail. And it's not because I like being negative. I'm a very positive person. I like surrounding myself with positive people. But I feel that if you see the mistakes other people have made, we review those, then you should learn from their mistakes and not make the same mistakes. So that's why I'll cover that tomorrow. With that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. I do hope to see some of you at the Living Legends event in New York City. It'll be at Carnegie Hall, which is right off of Times Square. In fact, my hotel overlooked Times Square, and that's the 26th through the 28th. I'll show up early, a day early, and I'll plan on leaving a day late so that those of you who do attend the event, if you desire, can meet with me one-on-one, because things are going to be very busy during the event. Like I mentioned, there's group breakfasts and group lunches, and then in the evening, people, will do things on their own probably, but so many people that you want to meet that it's just difficult. So I say to people, reach out to me beforehand saying, hey, Willie, I'm going to be there. Can we get together for dinner or, in the hotel lobby or whatever? And for those people, I suggest that we make a recording, a video recording or an audio recording, do a podcast or do an interview or something you can use later, and certainly take lots of pictures that you can share on social media and things like that. So, take advantage of that opportunity and get out and meet as many of those people. Go over and look at the site that I gave you the link for, and you'll see a lot of names that you recognize. Like one of my favorite people is Neil Patel. When I want to know things like about Google in particular, but also a lot of things about leveraging YouTube, he's my go-to guy because he started out with like no audience on YouTube, and within no time he had 100,000 people, and now he influences millions of people, and he is a multimillionaire from his business operations that are primarily driven by his activities around Google and around social media. So, I'm hoping Neil will be there, and I'm hoping to get time to sit down, and I'd love to interview him, and then I can later on, push it out as a podcast where I'm promoting him to an extent, but I'm saying, look at me, I actually know Neil Patel, so it's helps everybody. With that, I will see you guys tomorrow, same time, 11 o'clock Eastern, and Sunday, I don't know about yet because Sundays I should be going to church. I don't go every Sunday, but we'll see. And so thanks for joining us. And now I'm going to go and maybe take a nap or something. Talk to you later.